Hello. The question today is, does the devil exist? My name is Charles Robertson, and I've had a few interactions with the devil in my life. I've created this video to help others understand what I know and help them to avoid the problems I've faced. Because I'm presenting alone, it's a bit like a lecture, not interactive. Please, this subject means a lot to me. If you feel something strongly in what I say, please use the comments section. Share it with people you believe would be interested. The devil wants to try and persuade your soul to come to hell. You have free will. Your actions can consign you. He relies on your fear. This makes your actions unpredictable. He gets his opportunity when you do something wrong against the wishes of God. And I will state here that if you believe in the devil, you must also believe in God. God will support you and keep the devil away from you, unless you do something unethical, which is at the behest of the devil. In my case, in an early morning dream, I agreed to something the devil was offering. In doing so, I separated my soul from God. The devil does not want you to believe he exists. This is for 3 reasons. 1. By believing he does not exist, you are not always on the lookout for his influence. Your protection is less effective. 2. When he does attack, you will be surprised and fearful of what might happen. This makes you prone to error. 3. If you believe in him, then you will also believe in God. You have free will to believe in God or not. If you're under attack by the devil and you don't believe God exists, you will be overwhelmed. The devil is cleverer than you, has inexhaustible resources, and can attack at any time of the day and night. You will need help, and there are only a few sources of spiritual help. I know the devil exists. How can I prove it to you? Well, I can't. The world would change in an instant if someone could prove that the devil or God existed. If we knew that God existed, then almost immediately, "Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as in heaven," would become a reality. All governments, all individuals would look to him for guidance. The knowledge that he existed and was always looking over your shoulder would see a sudden lessening in crime and selfish behaviour. As I see it, this is not what he wants. He wants people to behave in accordance with his laws, even if he wasn't there. A society based on his existence would not survive if he wasn't there. The general population do not believe in God. Atheists do not believe in God. Many Christians follow their religion without being convinced there is a God. Confucianism is a religion that contains Jesus' second commandment: do not do unto others what you would not want others to do to you. Except, unlike Christianity, this religion has no God. There may be religions out there that have a god or gods, but no devil or the equivalent. I'm not enough of a religious expert to have an answer. Why don't we believe in God? There is no scientific basis for God, and we are a science-based society. There is much suffering in the world. How can he allow it? And he doesn't answer my prayers. Let's deal with these arguments one at a time. There is no scientific basis for God. Science only deals in the material world. It has no access to the spiritual world. In the main, using scientific method to try and quantify the spiritual world is a career-limiting decision. Many have tried. I think this is because science assumes there are natural rules that can be studied with observation, measuring and experimentation. A God would mean that not all rules are natural, meaning that some rules could be a whim. That destroys one of the tenets of science. Science does not exclude the existence of God. It's just a hypothesis that cannot be proved. Looking just at the material world, science is not complete. It is not anywhere near complete. In physics, there is the glaring anomaly of the theory of everything. If I take an example from the past in biology, then you will see how science that is incomplete can be adapted to accept the truth. A taxonomy is the science of naming, describing and classifying objects. The zoological taxonomy applies to all organisms. It results in the Latin names that every species is known by. If you're understanding this, you're a Homo sapien. God does not exist on this taxonomy, but if he exists, he should. In 1799, an animal skin was sent over from Australia to Britain as an example of a new species. The new species looked like it had been stitched up from the hides of other animals, and the team started by looking for evidence of sewing. That's not very trusting. This strange animal fed its young milk. It was therefore a mammal, but it laid eggs, which were then incubated. Mammals don't lay eggs, they deliver live young. Women have eggs, but they don't leave the body. There was nowhere to put this strange animal in the taxonomy. The animal also had a venomous spur on its rear leg. No other animal had that. It also had a wide bill that has electrolocation in it. This is used to find prey using the electrical field it gives off. In the thousands of animal species that there are, only 3 have this ability. No wonder the first scientists to see this skin thought it was a joke. I expect you have guessed it was the duck-billed platypus. There was nowhere to fit it in the mammal taxonomy with all its weird features, but this, and this is the point, the catalogue had to be changed to accommodate it because without any doubt it definitely existed. Science will not, for many reasons, accept God, but if he is ever proved to exist, he will be accommodated in the taxonomy, along with angels, fallen angels, and all those other characters that populate the Bible, but we cannot see or study. The great comedian Robin Williams believes that the duck-billed platypus is not only proof that there is a God, but proof that occasionally he creates animals when he's stoned. 2. There is much suffering in the world. How can he allow it? God has given us free will. We are at liberty to do whatever we like to our fellow man. Our fellow man will punish us if we are caught, and if the action is something that society deems a crime. The Titanic was a huge disaster when she sank on her maiden voyage. There are many opportunities that could have been used to avert disaster. Firstly, the first mate who was transferred to another ship could have left the keys to the binocular box in the correct place instead of taking it with him. 2. The Californian, the ship thought to have seen the distress rockets, could have taken action. 3. If the command to turn to port had been only seconds earlier, the collision would have been avoided. But all these actions were the result of men exercising their free will. Should God have intervened? Guglielmo Marconi, the inventor of radio and the owner of the radio sets on the Titanic, was offered a free ticket on the Titanic, but chose to travel on the Lusitania because he preferred the stenographer to whom he dictated his letters. Bear in mind that a free ticket to cross the Atlantic was valuable. The cheapest third-class ticket was worth £800 and a first-class suite $130,000 in today's money, much more than you would pay today to fly. J. Pierpont Morgan, the owner of the Titanic, intended to travel on the maiden voyage, but decided to remain on a beach in France. John R. Mott and a companion were offered free tickets, but decided to travel on a competing liner, the Lapland. When they arrived in New York and found the Titanic had sunk, he said to his travelling companion, "The good Lord must have more work for us to do." Perhaps God did. He went on to share the Nobel Peace Prize in 1946 for his contribution to the creation of a peace-promoting religious brotherhood across national boundaries. Did God intervene with these people? If so, why did he not intervene in other ways? God works in mysterious ways. And the last question, he doesn't answer my prayers. You know the old joke, the man in church praying to win the lottery, when God says, "Meet me halfway, buy a ticket." This has a serious side. God will always answer your prayers. It may not be in the way you expected. Everyone prays that they will win the lottery when they buy a ticket. God cannot satisfy all of them. Remember also that you've won if you only got £10. Asking him to help you lose weight won't work unless you yourself have the will to lose weight. Your will can always overwhelm his help if you continue to visit the fridge. We've looked at God. Now back to our original question. Does the devil exist? I've seen many people saying that allowing abortion is an indication that there is a devil. They may be right. The fact that America is bitterly divided on this issue, but the rest of the world is not, raises one question. But for me, forcing a woman to have a baby when neither she nor the father wants it results in a child growing up in an absence of love, and that cannot be good. However, I do think there is a conspiracy that the devil is involved in. This is the immense amount of suffering that comes about from dictators and near dictators. There are 36 countries of the 234 in the world that are governed by people who deliberately interfere with the press. There is only one reason these men, and all of them are men, have for throttling the press. It is to keep themselves in charge of a country when they are confident that they are no longer wanted. I'm writing this in August 2024, and last month the Venezuelan presidential elections took place. They were obviously rigged in favour of the incumbent. The voting tallies from the voting machines that have been published show that the opposition received twice the votes of the incumbent. Even if all the votes on the tallies not published were all voting for Maduro, he would still lose. However, the country's Supreme Tribunal of Justice, without evidence, has pronounced Maduro has won. Will he stand aside in favour of the opposition? Only time will tell. But what is worse? Putin in Russia arranging for his opposition to be murdered? China sending to prison or exiling dissidents? Or Maduro merely threatening the institutions that oversee the elections? It doesn't matter. In all these cases, the population don't have the government they deserve, and the rest of the world must keep telling these populations that they're being cheated. Certainly Nicolas Maduro is getting no support from other countries except from Russia and China, and others of the 36 countries that limit the press. Our 36 countries include a number of accepted bad boys. Vladimir Putin in Russia, Kim Jong-un in North Korea, Recep Erdogan in Turkey, Bashar Assad in Syria, the leaders of Iran, and Nicolas Maduro in Venezuela. 50% of the population of the world live in these 36 countries, a total of 4.6 billion people suffering. Let me say that again. More than half the population of the world live in countries where their leaders are unethically clinging onto power. These leaders cannot have achieved their position of influence without help. They didn't rise to the top with the help of the populace, who seem to want to migrate to America and other Western countries. You could say they were helped by the political system and being in the right place at the right time. That is true. But I believe it is an evil conspiracy that put these people, Hitler and Stalin, in positions of power, and that conspiracy was organised by the devil. If the devil exists, all our objections to God existing fall apart. You are a battleground between good and evil. You make hundreds of decisions every day. 3 entities are involved. You, God whispering in one ear, and the devil in the other. Which choice will you make? Make the evil choice too often, and you will come under evil influence. You may end up a dictator, but if you end up in hell, you've lost everything. For what will it profit a man if he gains the whole world and forfeits his soul? When you make an evil choice, do not question if you're basically evil. You are not. You are tempted by the devil. Believe that he exists. Apologize for being out of character and do the right thing. Don't dwell on it. Please believe that the devil exists. It is the first hurdle you must cross before you can defeat him. Thank you.